Hi everyone, this is my third and final prediction for the Christmas Carol 2025 GCSE exams, and my third prediction is on generosity. There are lots of characters that represent generosity in all its forms in A Christmas Carol, although not all characters have the capacity to be financially generous. All of them have one type of generosity in common, and that is a generosity in spirit. Some characters you may wish to discuss if a question on generosity or something similar comes up is Fezziwig. He represents caring capitalism, so generosity in both terms of like how he spends his wealth, as well as how he spends his time and the way he makes people feel valued. Fred, although Fred isn't rich like Fezziwig and Scrooge, his uncle, he's still generous. He invites Scrooge to Christmas dinner every year, despite receiving the same cold response year in, year out. He's generous in spirit and in kindness. And then we've got the Cratchits. Although poor, represent familial generosity. Despite their poverty, they embody warmth, love, and willingness with whatever little they have to support and care for one another. Their generosity is emotional and spiritual rather than material. And then we've got the Ghost of Christmas Present, and he represents abundant, joyful, and inclusive generosity. He embodies the spirit of giving freely and widely without expectation of anything in return, which brings me on to the very first extract that I'm going to discuss. The first extract that I'm going to discuss is going to be around the Ghost of Christmas Present and how he represents generosity in different forms. And we see this generosity embodied through the way that Dickens displays his appearance. So in this scene, we see his generosity symbolized through his appearance, but as we continue to read this stave, we also see his generosity in both material, like material generosity. So he shows scenes of like food, feasts, and like giving, but also emotional and communal generosity, encouraging compassion and empathy and goodwill towards everyone, especially the poor and overlooked. In the extract, he's described as having a capacious breast, describing his large chest, which is also symbolic of his large and generous heart. We've also got the semantic field of freedom used to describe the Ghost of Christmas Present throughout this extract, through his features. Perhaps it's like a metaphorical reference of how like freeing generosity is, how it makes you feel light as a feather, as Scrooge feels right at the end of the novel. We see the effects of generosity in Scrooge, feeling that sense of freedom. And if you compare this to how trapped and isolated Scrooge feels as a result of his stinginess, solitary as an oyster earlier on in the novel, then that would be them two quotations go really well together. And if we combine it with the semantic field of freedom that's used to describe the Ghost of Christmas Present, the Ghost also